Here's the deal. People can be terrible about things they don't understand. From now on, the only person you can show yourself around is me.
Bumblebee is directed by Travis Knight and it stars Haley Steinfeld, John Ortiz, and you can't see him because he's John Cena. Bumblebee is the very first spin-off standalone movie of the Transformers franchise, the Michael Bay Transformers franchise of course, because this is not really connected to for the most part, but it's produced by Michael Bay and there is a really strong connection to the original movie, like to the first movie that happens in this, like towards the end of this movie. But basically it's set in 1987, Bumblebee crash lands into, you know, California, and Haley Steinfeld, who plays this 18-year-old girl named Charlie, she finds him, she really wants a car, so she fixes him up and finds out that he is actually an Autobot and there's a war going on with the Decepticons, and then the Decepticons get involved and she has to end up, you know, sort of helping out Bumblebee to try and save the world basically from being exterminated by the Decepticons. And John Cena's in there, you know, because he's John Cena! I want to start off with a few positives. Haley Steinfeld as Charlie Watson, she's a far more interesting character than Mark Wahlberg or any of the characters in Transformers 4 or 5. She's pretty much on the same level as Shia LaBeouf in the first movie. She's not really, you know, she's not the most interesting character in the world, but she's probably the most interesting human character in the Transformers franchise. After, of course, John... But all jokes aside, she puts in a pretty good performance. Her character has some sort of depth and she has a really strong relationship with her mother, which I feel like is something that wasn't really placed heavily upon in the Transformers movies. A really, you know, a really strong relationship between, you know, mother, you know, between family. I mean, they tried to do that with Transformers 4, but it just, you know, it clearly had nowhere near the amount of heart that this movie has. John Cena. He gives a pretty good performance. He's also an interesting human character as well because he's not really just plain military bad guy. He's a military, like they give him a reason to actually, you know, be very wary of Transformers and really want to get rid of them. And it's set up really well with his first interaction with Bumblebee that happens in the movie. There's like, you know, some sort of romantic subplot that occurs in the movie as well between, you know, Haley Steinfeld and her next door neighbor. And it's sort of okay. It's not, you know, a brilliant subplot, and so, but I really like it and I'm actually interested in seeing where these characters develop if they get sequels, which I really hope Bumblebee gets a sequel where it's just centered entirely around Haley Steinfeld and Bumblebee, just because I feel like that would, you know, make the relationship a whole lot better. Really being able to see how it's developed from the first movie. The CGI is also really well done. The CGI is pretty much flawless. The way Bumblebee transforms back into the Volkswagen Beetle, back into Bumblebee. Not for a second did I actually think that any of the CGI shots in the movie were cheesy. All the effect shots are done incredibly well. And I think it's, you know, fantastic CGI. There is one green screen shot that happens in the film where you just kind of go like, whoa. Are you sure about that? But I feel like most of the budget went towards those special effects shots because they have so much Bumblebee in the movie that you really only have a small cast of probably no more than 10 characters. And it's also really well shot. The movie itself has really lots of heart. Surprising amount of heart for a Transformers movie, unknown to any of the other Transformers you've seen before. As far as negatives go, I feel like the story is, for the most part, not really that whole lot what happens. It feels like it lacks a lot in some sort of epic scope, and I guess that's because it's telling a more personal story, but I still probably would have liked to have a bit more scope, like, you know, full on shown, because they do mention in the movie, like, oh, you know, the world's at stake, so watch out. Bumblebee, it's just a really, you know, it's a fun time. The movie, alright, the movie itself is okay. I'm not sure I'm actually going to walk out of this, like, you know, remembering a whole lot about the movie, but I still think it's solid enough to watch, so I will say that Bumblebee is an overnight rental. Have you seen Bumblebee? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to become one of the Pie to Pie. And I'll catch you guys later. John Cena! Well done, you made it to the end of the video. Why don't you click on one of these two videos for more content, or subscribe, so just be reminded of when I upload. So, you know, subscribe. That'd be great.